Welcome to more Gran Turismo Sports Specialtatin. This video is going to be a bit different. I ain't going to be as loud as usual because I'm back at college and I really can't be. I ain't going to be as competitive as usual because the circumstances are different. But I guess in a way this is unusual because I never expected it. I'm one of the top 24 fastest drivers in North America. I'm 23rd out of 24, but I'm still there. Yeah, I'm as surprised as you are, and probably vice versa. I don't really think I made it here 100% legitimately. I ain't really good in any courses in this game, and I'm kind of average at this track. I am at best a fair weather S-Class driver rating driver, and it kind of shows here. But nonetheless, I made it. Do I deserve spots over others? I don't know, but I got here today, so I'm definitely gonna enjoy it. As I said in the closed beta and really any iteration of Gran Turismo ever, even though I ain't exactly gonna ever see them, just racing with like these drivers in general is quite an honor. Even though this is overall gonna hurt like all of my stuff. Spoiler alert, I don't finish all that good in this race. I will do the whole race because this is a momentous occasion that I might not get again. I hope I do, but I'm not sure. But yeah, from this, my driver rating went down, actually a whole letter, and sportsmanship rating was already at a 99 anyway, so it didn't go up. So, on paper, this looked like it kind of hurt, but in reality, again, I mean, it's just. There's no need for rapid racer rundown for a race like this because these drivers need no introduction. When the GT Academy champion is mid-pack, you know you have a stacked field. And all the other drivers are awesome as well. I can't really complain. I'm not all that competitive, but at least I'm here. And honestly, I had a decent race. I mean, it wasn't. I don't think I had the least competitive race of everyone in the field. I'm already up to 22nd. Honestly, I qualified as good as I could, really. I got a 139.7 in practice or qualifying 1 or whatever. This is the one that you run on your own. And then the qualifying actually in the race itself, I got a 139.9. My fastest lap in the race, I know, spoiler alert, but whatever, is also 139.9. I would say my average lap is about a 140.7 or something. And yet I'm here. That shows how awesome all the drivers in the field are. I was about as consistent as I ever could be with this car track combination. And well, I'm here. I ain't last, but I guess that's in the eye of the beholder. Granted, in some people's eyes, kind of, sort of, it's fair to say others are going to be somewhat slow in some people's eyes, and you can't really blame them for that. And that's probably a good thing, really. If they even acknowledge you because you're in the race, doesn't really matter if they say you're slower than them because, well, everyone but literally you can count on a hand probably are. So, whatever. I'm not sure exactly on the format of how I'm going to do like the rest of this. This is a long race. This has probably been the equivalent of a full Specialtatin on Northern Isle or something already, and we're only 3 of 15, so that's 1/5 of the way through. I'm not all that good with math. I know I had to pause there for a second. Don't judge. I'm in college because of all around, not exactly math specific, that's for sure. But anyway, I'll probably just go through the field, try to find the best battle, and then specialtate that. I already sort of glanced through the race like I do in all the races before I do it, just to try to find general good bits. I probably spent about 2 or 3 minutes looking through the race, and I found a whole heck of a heap. Literally all of it could be just showing IOF versus Doodle, but IOF has his viewpoint of the race on his channel where he live streams. So if you want to see his point of view, definitely do check out his channel if you haven't already. Doodle Monopoly, TR Doodle, whatever. His old PSN was Doodle Monopoly, and that's what his YouTube channel is called. So if you want to check him out, he's on Doodle Monopoly for his YouTube channel. And there's other drivers who have the race as well from their viewpoint, like GTR. And I'm sure there's others as well. If you know others, mention them in the comments if you want. It's just good to get everyone's viewpoint for races like this because, well, I mean, just look at that pack right yonder. This is the fastest few people in this side of the world, and they're all within 1 second of each other for the most part. And then you have the unbelievable OF and Doodle, or I'd say that's probably the most famous, like, battle in North America. It's, like, as good as you're gonna get. There are actually a few drivers missing from this field. I know Z28 Gaming, who also has a YouTube channel. I think his PSN's the Z28, but his YouTube is Z28 Gaming, I think. He's not in this race, I think, by, like, a lag out or something. His PS4, like, went blue screen or something. Which happens too much, PD, if you happen to be watching this. Wink, wink. It happened probably 10% of the races, for Jiminy Cricket's sakes, but... So he didn't make it in, and for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, Orma, whatever, Snow, who's probably would be at this general race here, is not in it either. And again, sort of like the YouTube channels, I'm sure I'm missing drivers in general as well. Again, if you know of any who, you know, could make this but weren't in, it's probably still worth mentioning them too, because eventually I might be able to make it in another one, and it may include those drivers, who knows. We'll see in the future. As I said, though, I'm kind of fair weather S-Class driver rating. I've pretty much only raced races I know I'm going to do it good at, or these, because both these are an honor, and if you get a chance to race in it, you probably should, no matter how fast or slow you are for car track combination. Even so, I mean, I was about the slowest in the field, and I'm, like, in the general pack here. Not one particular driver, even amongst the very fastest, is all that spread out from another driver. That might be the biggest pack, or gap, and that's just because there's battling there. And really, that's not a bad thing for me either. I'm actually in last now, but I didn't actually crash or anything from that. As I said, my average laps, I didn't add it up, but my guess would be a high 140. Probably my slowest lap was only like a 141.5. I think the main reason I went from like 23rd to 22nd and then back to 24th was pretty much just because people feeling at the track. Qualifying is iffy. Some people just get better runs at qualifying than others, and then that kind of throws around the qualifying grid a bit. I had pretty much a full track for my best lap, and I got about as good of a lap as I could. Maybe somebody behind me didn't, and then maybe someone behind me did get like a better run than expected, so then that driver behind me who didn't quite qualify as well but is really faster got around, and then vice versa. So therefore I was up for a minute and then I was down for a minute. But as this race goes on, that might very well change too. And again, I'm in my own battle, and really everyone else is too. I don't think there's one driver who's just like a straggler who's not really necessarily in a battle in this whole race. And that just shows how awesome this race is in general. I mean, it still goes to show it's just like the drivers in general who are in there. 11th place, GT Academy champion. I know I've already said that, but it's pretty kind of big and awesome to say. I think I've sort of done this like in the beta saying, I think it was GT Academy 2013 started like 5th in some race in the closed beta. And not everybody had it back then, obviously, because closed beta was random. GT Academy 2013 is 4th here. Started 5th in some race in the closed beta. And I remember I said that's about as stacked field as I think I would ever be in. Granted, GT Academy 2013 is a spot up from 5th for this race. But given the general field, I think it's actually a better field. A lot of that is actually because some of the drivers didn't have the closed beta, and a lot of it's just through the like the algorithms and stuff too. For those who aren't sure how the top 24 calculated, who wanted to see if they can get in it, from what I can tell, and sort of from what I've read and figured out what's more on the right track of being true and what's not, I think it's straight up driver versus sportsman separating. If you have SS, you probably can make it, no matter where you qualify in like the practice or whatever. But my other theory is I don't think it's quite as accurate as the first one. It might be true, but I don't think it is. But it's probably only one of two that could be true. Is that driver and sportsman separating do have stuff that deals with it, but then there's also a bit of qualifying as well. Like if you haven't set a qualifying time at all, they might not let you in it just so you don't get in the way or something. But I know for sure it doesn't have to do with overall points that you have in the particular championship. Because at this point, I've only ran 3 races. I was going to use this as my 4th if I got in, and I did, so I used it. So therefore, I was roughly 50th in the overall points for this championship series. So obviously nowhere close to top 24. I think after I finished this race, I actually was something like 22nd. But that's mainly just because some of the people in this race did not do all 4 races, so they just didn't get some of their points tally. Probably everyone in this field, or at least the vast majority, probably had a better average than me. But some of them didn't do all the races, so the total was less than their average or whatever. Their total didn't speak for how good they actually were, just because they missed some of the races for whatever reason. And again, as y'all can see here, mid-pack racing is clean and fast, and 4 cars involved. And in most races, when it's a mid-pack race, on average, there's going to be some wrecks. I've yet to see a single driver wreck this entire race. The only documented wreck that I remember was actually on GTR's live stream, and he got wrecked. That wasn't actually a mistake by him. That was just a dirty driver. And that was the only dirty driver I've seen in this whole field either. So, I mean, that's pretty good. No drivers making a mistake, only one driver racing dirty. This is truly the pinnacle of racing. I'm not trying to sound stuck up or anything, because really I'm honored that I'm even in this. In as in the race, not necessarily in a nice battle like this. So, I mean, yeah, there you go. I guess really I can specialtate this. I don't really... I mean, it's not all that chaotic. It's as is. It's sort of just the drivers wait for an opportunity to pass, and then they pass. It specialtates itself, really. It's just probably about as good as it could ever possibly be. That actually happens in times in real sports, too. Like, when there's this crazy good competitive going on, and the commentators kind of just go quiet and watch and all. I remember that happens in NASCAR with, like, the restrictor plate racing at the end when there's no caution and it just gets drawn out. When there's no caution and everyone's together going fast for a long period of time, that racing generally gets really good. Like the last 10 laps, everyone's in a pack and it's all crazy and stuff, but no one wrecks, so it stays fluid. That's more of the time where the racing speaks for itself. As for like more circuit type racing, I guess it would be... to be honest, I don't have as many experiences with the circuit type racing watching on TV. F1 comes on where I live, but it comes on in like midday because they actually do it live, and the times never really sync up, so I rarely ever get to watch it. And then IndyCar comes on too, which they actually race on some actual road circuits. Just, I don't really watch that much IndyCar, really. Don't know why, I just never really liked it all that much. I've always preferred just Formula 1, just it never comes on. So, I mean, I'm sure y'all have your own experiences of watching really good races on TV and stuff, where it's more the racing speaks for itself than the actual who's talking about it. But this is one of those races. I know it's just a video game, so even in that sense, it's kind of stuck up. But I mean, I don't really know how to explain it. It's sort of, you have to be here to experience, but I know kind of, again, feels stuck up. But, I mean, I'm not trying to sound like over my head or whatever. It's just, it's an unexplainable experience. It really is. I never would have figured in my life I would necessarily be happy about being 23rd out of 24, but in this circumstance, I'm happier being 23rd out of 24 than I am for quite a lot of other races I've won. Am I still actually 23rd out of 24 at this point in the race? I can't remember for sure. Yeah, actually, I'm still 24 out of 24, but it's still a relative battle. I can still see the other car. Also, this race, I was specifically, like, I didn't want to get into all that many wheel-to-wheel battles as well, just because this is the biggest race they have per round or whatever. So there might actually be a chance this gets hugely viewed or whatever in some way, shape, or form. I mean, all of these types of things are viewed in the sense of people have YouTube channels and all that. But I mean, like biopsal Gran Turismo stuff, it might be on there. So I just don't want to look like an idiot messing someone up on my own error, and I don't want to be dirty at all because then I just look bad all around. So I'm trying to race as precise as I can while also as clean as I can. So therefore, sort of kind of the best way to do that is not be too close to another driver. If by some miracle I was ever like in a pack for this, like a big pack, like not more than just 3 cars, I might try to pass more people just because I'm not all that good in the middle of a pack. I've kind of proved that time and again. But this particular race, I wasn't all that much. I mean, again, not really complaining. Because, I mean, I'm here, so probably shouldn't be too down on myself. But I still feel like if I was in, I'm going to take a hunch and say there's still pack. Yeah, there's still big pack up here. If I was in this pack, I just feel like I'd mess people up or slow people down. Even on a good track, if it was slow cars, Rembrandt hatch Indy, which I sort of like, as I said before too, I'm better into slower cars because I don't have the best of reflexes. So slow cars on a slow track would be the best I'd probably be able to do in a race. I'd say I was in this pack even there on a track that I know with cars I know. I still don't feel like I'd be quite as good as these top-notch drivers with more experience than me, I'm sure. Also, there was a thread up recently on GT Planet with some driver actually saying they have like 18,000 miles or something. And I'm not surprised that there's few people with those type of miles that say it, but that whole thread, I'd say 75% of them were people saying they have at least 15,000 miles in the game. I only have like about 10,000, or I don't even think that much yet. So I thought I was racing actually quite a bit, but in reality, not so much. So I have literally less experience, not just in terms of age, in terms of literal game experience on this particular game. I didn't really realize that. I need to race more, I guess, but now I'm in college, I actually sort of kind of can't. Whatever, though. I'm one of those people who try to span out a game a decent amount. I still play GT6 to the bitter end. I'll still have fun with that till the online goes out. That I ended up with over 100,000 miles eventually. Same with 5. 4, I had about 50,000 miles or so, but I was a kid, so I didn't really know what I was doing, so probably just didn't play it as much. I just wasn't nearly as good. 3, I can't really remember. That's sort of where I started. This, I guess it depends on when they turned the online off, because as we know, this one's pretty useless without online. We'll just have to see, folks, but let's not look at the negatives. Let's just continue to watch the positives. Actually, still for a decent amount of time. I mean, that's 3 laps, and part of this lap, that's still actually a nice chunk for general Specialtatin. For this, it's actually winding down, but actual general race, it's still a nice chunk of racing. And again, throughout this whole race, still pretty caught picking good battles all the way through. Can't really complain about that, folks. You can't really complain about that. I guess at this point, before it gets really heated or whatever, or if it even does, I'd say that everyone in here will stay clean. On the last lap, let's just see the cinematic and watch the awesomeness in motion. As I said, I'm very much honored to be in this field. Maybe I'll be able to get back to this, but again, this came at the end of winter break after I had more time of playing, and I only did the races I was good at for the most part, so I was probably about as high of a SR and DR as I'd ever be when I entered this race. I'm at S class now, but I'm still pretty sure I'm lower than I was when I entered this race. So, I mean, we'll see. I hope I make it back. Actually, when I started this, I was fielded in 19th. I think before the initial qualifying, it does it by overall sportsmanship and driver rating. So 19 out of 24 means I have a little bit of wiggle room, but as I said before, there's also some people missing. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I definitely do hope I make it back. Any race I do make it to these, I would definitely specialtate. No matter how good or bad I do. It's just... I feel like for these, unless you are truly those names, it's probably not as much about how good you actually finish, and it's more about just the experience of seeing, well, those names and seeing how they cope with pressure. And, well, they do the best out of anyone. That's why they're there. That's why they're leading. And it is pretty big and awesome to watch. Again, I definitely do recommend looking at IOF Racing's channel. I think his is just called IOF Racing. It doesn't have the 17 at the end. I definitely recommend watching that stream because that's as good as you're going to get. That's as fast of a driver there is in North America. And I mean, that's proof. I'm, by looking at this, about as slow as it can be in North America while still considered fast, but there's still a bit of racing left. As I said, I raced consistently this whole race. I getting better about not cracking under pressure. That's one thing I've definitely gotten quite a bit better in the last few months. I mean, I can always be fast on qualifying or whatever, but I think this game has definitely taught me the more I've raced with good people, the more to race consistently with good people. So, well, let's see if that ends up paying off. As of now, though, there's more pressure being applied that could affect some people no matter how good they are. Sometimes it's not really as much the person messing up as it is the person behind just being that little bit better. No one's messed up, though. Everyone's better. Everyone's awesome for this race. Again, this has been going on the entire race. There's been battles throughout the field that have stayed clean the whole time. Stayed accident free for the whole time. This is incredible. Also, I know it's kind of probably bad to put this in the ultimate race or whatever, but I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for actually tanking my DR and SR points too. Is that actually ended up giving me more wins, was made me be able to shoot it up quicker, so therefore probably made for a bigger max than I would just racing consistently without doing it. So I ain't necessarily telling you to tank, but if you want to get here, well, it worked for me. Y'all can take that as you may, depending on how y'all think I am compared to the other drivers, but yeah, it worked, I'll just say that. But anyway, final lap, top two are battling. Top two have battled clean the whole race, battled fast the whole race, and that lap line is incredible. Doodle just now ran his fastest lap, and he's right on the back bumper as he's been the whole race. I think that's the definition of consistency right yonder. Jiminy Cricket. This has been incredible. As I said, this finish is incredible, but I will kind of leave it as a what if, because whenever go to iOS channel, watch his thing. I'll just say it's a good finish. Watch it on his. I ain't gonna spoil someone else's thing that they worked this hard to get to. But yeah, still good racing throughout. Everyone stayed clean. It's incredible. I know I've already said that, but at this point, there isn't much more to say. The race is ending. It stayed good throughout. This is the best race I've ever been in. Not really the best race I've ever ran, but this is the best race I've ever been in. And hopefully at some point I do, indeedy dandy, get back. I don't know. We'll see. I hope I do. And like I said, I'm not even in last now either. That was actually a little bit of applying and avoiding pressure on my part. It wasn't on camera, but I sorta kinda made someone go in a mistake. Honestly, don't know if that was a mistake or just not wanting to mess up like a clean race or something, because it wasn't even that much of a mistake. I was just catching my speed and sort of just caught in time, and I think maybe that driver just saw that might have been somewhat faster, but there you go, folks. That's the best race I was ever in. I hope y'all enjoyed that Specialtatin. As y'all see, I just barely even made it to the line before the timer went off. I'm not even sure if 24th made it, but whatever. I made it. I made it through. I stay clean, I stay competitive. Everyone stay clean, everyone stay competitive. There's nothing more worthy off than that. That's for sure, folks. I hope I'm back someday. And if I'm back, then y'all will see it too. Yeehaw.